with me, but I don't want it to be me later. I'd like to call this meeting, the Clay County Commission, to order. We will begin with our invocation. Administrator, when you are prepared, please proceed.
Thank you. Please join us in an attitude of prayer. God in heaven, bless our gathering with unity, hope, and vision. Deepen our comprehension, broaden our thinking, and transform our understanding of the items before us. Build in us all a deep respect for one another. We ask that you comfort the families, friends, and colleagues that are grieving the tragic loss of our fellow dedicated Kansas City public servant. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Nolte.
Here.
Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Here.
With that, it brings us to our approval of the agenda. Is there a motion related to the agenda for today's meeting? That agenda being for Wednesday, March 2, 2022, 1:30 p.m. meeting.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Motion been made for the approval of the agenda as printed. Discussion. This is our regular agenda, so I would like to make a motion that we remove item 7, which is honorary resolutions. We go to discussions, which is the main object of today's meeting, and then that we delete items 9 through 17 so that we can go ahead and get through it, since this is a special meeting and we have another one coming up shortly. So with that, I make that motion. Discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson.
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Yes.
Very well. That brings us to meeting schedule. Administrator?
Yes, Commissioners, the next meeting of the commission is at 3 o'clock this afternoon, which is the regular scheduled work session.
Thank you very much. We are skipping over 7, and there are no honorary resolutions. That brings us to discussion items. Administrator, if you'd like to proceed.
Yes, thank you. So this afternoon, we have with us today State Auditor Nicole Galloway, who is here to present to the commissioners and the public the final report from the state audit. With that, I turn it over to Auditor Galloway.
Thank you. We certainly represent the auditor here today and appreciate her making time to come by. So when you are prepared, please proceed.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for having me here, Commissioners. Thank you to all of you who have come here today. I know that you all have copies of the audit report that we're presenting today, and for those in the audience that might want a copy, there are some printed copies here, and you can also see my staff in the corner here if you need any additional information or additional copies. So just taking a step back a little bit, in 2018, taxpayers in Clay County began collecting signatures to request an audit of Clay County government. When their efforts yielded nearly twice the number of required signatures, our office accepted their request, and we began our audit of Clay County government in December of 2018. However, our audit of the County Commission was obstructed from the very beginning by 2 members of the Commission who have since left office. Today, after more than 3 years of rigorous audit work, interrupted on numerous occasions by repeated but ultimately unsuccessful litigation efforts by these 2 former commissioners, my office is issuing the report of our findings related to the operations of the Clay County Commission. Our audit gives a rating of 4, which is the lowest rating available. Applies specifically to the functions of the commission prior to the election and installment of 2 new county commissioners. To date, we have completed... Thank you. To date, we have completed and released audits of the county collector, the public administrator, the recorder of deeds, the county clerk's office, and the sheriff. We have now completed the charge given to us by the citizens of Clay County. Since we began our field work in 2018, many changes have occurred here in Clay County. The former commissioners that opposed the audit have left, and voters have elected 2 new commissioners and have overwhelmingly adopted a new governing constitution. I have often said that audits get results, and I believe that Clay County is an example of how citizens can make change and demand accountability in their local government by utilizing power available to all taxpayers, the power to petition the state auditor to examine their local government. Indeed, over these past several years, many of the problems wouldn't have seen the light of day if it had not been for the efforts of Clay County taxpayers. Additionally, the news media doggedness and following up on taxpayer concerns in Clay County government brought many of the issues we found in our audit out of the shadows and into the light in real time. Our audit revealed that 2 former commissioners made significant decisions involving taxpayer funds while actively limiting the ability of taxpayers to know why or how these decisions were made. When the taxpayers sought my help to get answers, these commissioners refused to cooperate, directed others to refuse to cooperate, and went to court to try to stop us from accessing information. Our findings were numerous. Many involve issues that came to light even while we were engaged in our audit work. And they include, and this list is long, so bear with me here. Millions in taxpayer dollars spent on a so-called new annex project, much of it likely unrecoverable because of actions of the previous commission. One commissioner unilaterally signing multi-million-dollar contract awards for the annex project, resulting in a loss of transparency of the procurement and contracting process that did not serve any apparent purpose. Automatically renewing employment contracts with generous severance packages to the former county administrator and assistant administrators. Lease agreements for rent-free county housing not reported as a benefit to the IRS on the employees' W-2 forms, potentially subjecting the county to IRS penalties. Separation agreements with employees that provided additional severance beyond the generous compensation outlined in their employment agreements. Acting in closed meetings to provide these employees more than $300,000 in settlement funds in addition to their severance pay. Taken together, taxpayers spent more than $600,000 in compensation on a handful of county employees after they left county employment. We found that the former commission did not follow their own policies and procedures when engaging several private law firms to handle sunshine requests, another one to act as a county counselor, another one to handle negotiations on those severance agreements. Over 3 years, this cost taxpayers about $3 million. The former commission also hired a PR firm for media consulting and crisis communication, costing taxpayers more than $50,000 without soliciting proposals for those services. We found non-compliance with the Sunshine Law regarding closed meeting minutes. When my office sought documentation, including minutes from closed meetings, in order to conduct our audit, the commission refused. When we sought to interview a now former assistant county administrator, that request was refused. I had to take the unusual step of issuing subpoenas for records and testimony, which the county's contracted private law firm fought in court, causing delays in our work. Eventually, we prevailed in the courts and the audit proceeded. At every turn, the obstruction we encountered was driven by those 2 former county commissioners. Commissioners Ridgway and Owen chose not to seek re-election to the commission in 2020. Commissioners Carpenter and Thompson were subsequently elected. Along with Commissioner Nolte, they cooperated fully with the completion of this audit. That includes ending the previous commissioner's legal effort to obstruct our work. Furthermore, the commissioners that are here for you today have indicated that they will implement our audit recommendations. Our recommendations largely center on respecting the need for accountability and transparency in government and repairing the public's trust that was so badly damaged. I appreciate your cooperation on completing this audit and your commitment to restoring faith in county government. I also appreciate the input of county citizens, thousands of whom signed this petition to get this audit. That effort was led by Chief Petitioner Jason Withington. Jason did what any taxpayer does have the power to do, but he embraced that power and took charge. And when folks feel like their local government is not responsive to them, they can get those signatures to compel an audit. Dozens of folks contacted my office with information through our whistleblower hotline. Every lead we received was followed. We could not have produced such a thorough report without the input of taxpayers of Clay County. And finally, the lesson for governments at every level is that transparency will eventually prevail. You may delay the change that brings needed reforms and restores the public trust, but you can't stop it. Taxpayers in Clay County were fed up with being shut out from knowing what was happening with their tax dollars, and they forced changes in their government. It's up to the public servants of the county now and in the future to preserve and protect the public trust that taxpayers deserve. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your hard work and patience. I think there's an awful lot here that we can be incorporating, and I'm certainly pleased that we are able to finally get this report. I want to thank you not only for the hard work of yourself and your department, but quite honestly for the patience that you exhibited. I'm afraid we were not always the easiest assignment that you had, but I understand that happens sometimes. I also want to express my gratitude, and I'm sure the other commissioners are going to share the sentiment, and that is to the many citizens, to the community leaders and the elected officials and so many others who put hard work in to make sure that this happened, not the least of which was the petition process, which was an arduous process, but it was one that was worthwhile and that was certainly done. The new commission, when it took office early last year, changed course, and we fully cooperated with the auditor's office to provide all the information requested to the best of our ability, and I think that we're able to get that done. Accountability is, after all, the cornerstone of good government, and I think that we have turned a corner and we are now going down that road. That is in stark contrast to the previous commission that basically took on a delaying tactic, using methods like lawsuits and other means at their disposal to postpone that. But as was just mentioned, justice can be postponed, but it will out. Justice will be had. And we are now, I think, to the point where we can adopt these suggestions and we can start looking at a new chapter in Clay County. And we are dedicated to that transparency, to that accountability to our taxpayers. And this is absolutely a new day. When you see what's going on in Clay County now, this is emblematic. A new constitution. It's our bicentennial years, you may or may not be aware, Madam Auditor. This is so new, and this is such an exciting time to be in Clay County at whatever level you're working. So this is truly a new chapter, and we owe that debt of gratitude to the citizens and the people of Clay County, because without the citizens and without the active involvement of people of goodwill, we as elected officials are, I wouldn't say powerless, but we are certainly not able to do the right thing. So an active, involved citizenry is the greatest thing that you can have for a democratic republic like we have, and we are incredibly fortunate to have such stellar citizens in this county. It gives me tremendous hope for the future, and we are, like I say, finally on the correct path, I believe, thanks in no small part to the associate commissioners. I would not want this moment to go by without pointing out that Commissioner Thompson and Commissioner Carpenter, from day one, have dedicated themselves to an open and transparent government and have worked tirelessly. And I have been, in my opinion, very fortunate to have these two individuals to work with. With that, I will go ahead and recognize the other commissioners, and we will hear what their thoughts are. Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you. I'm just going to jump right into it. So the results of this audit should make our previous commissioners and their overpaid cronies ashamed. These politicians were busy using our tax dollars when our community was in crisis. We had people out of jobs, and then we had our schools closed down. And then when we stood up and called them out on their corruption, they hid behind closed doors with their overpriced lawyers and had secret meetings and with their lobbyists. But you can only hide from educated and motivated citizens for so long. And that's where we're at. And none of this would have been possible without community leaders and everyday citizens standing up to a corrupt commission. The reason I ran for commissioner in the first place was to eliminate wasteful spending, support our men and women of law enforcement, and fight corruption. In the last year, we have come a long way. We have saved our citizens millions of dollars by ending frivolous lawsuits, stopping the construction of a pointless and expensive new annex building. We restored funding to our sheriff's department, the men and women of law enforcement who put their lives on the line to keep us safe every day. And we restored public comments and increased transparency by streamlining our meetings and making this possible. People can attend. And I am humbled to serve as a Clay County Commissioner today. And I will continue to fight for efficient and ethical county government.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Carpenter.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Commissioner Thompson. So I wholeheartedly agree with the comments that have been made here today. And one thing I just want to add is to the residents of Clay County that the many findings contained in this audit report, your commissioners, we've looked at them closely. We've studied them closely. We've talked with folks from the state auditor's office. And I'm happy to report that on the vast majority of these items, we've already radically changed the policies of the previous commission. And it is our full commitment on an ongoing and long-term basis to maintain a more transparent and accountable county government here in Clay County. So it is, as Commissioner Nolte said, it is a new day. We have implemented changes that I think are going to make a legitimate and significant difference for years to come here in Clay County. And I would add that I too find it to be a great honor to have gotten to be a part of the team that's made these changes. I want to thank the citizens who got involved to bring this result about. Auditor Galloway mentioned Jason Withington. I see Sherry Duffett here as well, and others. And I'm very grateful to all of you who helped bring this day about. And then to the State Auditor's Office, to Auditor Galloway, and to all of her staff. I have a lot of gratitude to you all as well. Thank you for your hard work on this. As you mentioned, Auditor, this process got underway in 2018. Here we sit together in this room in 2022, having finally gotten an audit report done. And we've discussed today why that is, the whole series of expensive lawsuits that served no purpose other than to try to delay and obstruct this outcome. But I am glad that we've gotten here today at long last anyway. And it will be a great honor going forward as well to continue to implement these changes and make positive change here in Clay County. And so just everybody from media folks to petitioners to the auditor's office and anybody else who helped to get us to where we are today. Thank you.
Very good. Do you have any closing remarks, Madam Auditor?
I do not, and I again want to say thank you to you and affirmatively recognize the changes that you have made, and that it's clear that you are dedicated to transparency and implementing the recommendations of this audit, which as state auditor, that's what I ask. That's all that I ask, and so thank you for that.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the time you and your staff made to come down here and make this presentation in person. And certainly, I'm sure there will be questions from the press and others. So we will go ahead and respect your time. We will, unless there are any further comment from the commission, we are adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you very
you.
much.